Welcome back to the show, everyone.
Thanks for joining us today.
All right, let's talk about something that's becoming a huge deal for thousands of aspiring doctors: getting your medical degree in Kazakhstan. We're going to break down absolutely everything you need to know.
So if you're trying to become a doctor in India, you already know the deal, right? The competition is just insane, there are so few seats, and the price tag for private medical schools, well, it can be totally out of reach. It's a really high-pressure world for so many students. But here's the thing, you are so not alone in this. And what's really interesting is that thousands of students are starting to look outside the box. They're finding a seriously powerful and practical alternative.
So, what is this new hotspot that's pulling in so many future doctors? Let's get into it.
Okay, let's start with a number that just, wow, it says it all. Every single year, about 5,000 Indian students make the move to Kazakhstan for their medical degree. Think about that. This isn't just a small trend anymore. It's a massive shift in how people are approaching medical education.
Okay, so when you hear that, probably the first and biggest question that pops into your head is the degree even legitimate? You know, if you spend 6 years studying there, is it actually worth anything back home? Let's tackle that head on.
So let's just ask it plainly. Is an MBBS degree from Kazakhstan actually recognized in India? And maybe just as important, what about the rest of the world? And the answer is a huge, resounding yes. I mean, just look at this list. The degree is approved by India's own National Medical Commission, the NMC. But it absolutely doesn't stop there. It's also recognized by the World Health Organization and the big medical councils in the USA, the UK, Australia, and Canada. We're talking about the heavy hitters here.
So what does all this mean? It means you're not cutting corners. This isn't some second-best option. You're getting a totally valid medical degree that's respected by the top medical authorities on the planet. That's a huge deal for your future career, wherever you want to go.
All right, so the degree is legit. Awesome. So the next question is obvious, right? How do you actually get in? Let's walk through the admission process step by step. And this is where it gets even better because the eligibility criteria are super straightforward. Basically, you need to have finished your class 12 with physics, chemistry, and biology and have at least 50%. Oh, and here's a huge bonus for a lot of students. You don't need to worry about English tests like IELTS or TOEFL.
Okay, let's clear up something that trips a lot of people up: the whole NEET situation. Now, some universities in Kazakhstan might, and I stress might, give you admission without a NEET score. But, and this is a huge but, if your plan is to come back and practice medicine in India, you absolutely have to qualify NEET. It's mandatory. No way around it to get your license.
The whole admission process is actually pretty simple and quick, which is a nice change, right? It really just boils down to 4 main steps. First, you pick your university. Then you submit all your documents, you wait for the university to check everything over, and finally, you get that visa approval. That's it.
All right, now let's get to the 2 big ones. The questions everyone really wants to know. How much is this all going to cost, and how long will it take?
Financially, this is where Kazakhstan is an absolute game changer for so many families. The average tuition for a year is about $4,500 US. Just think about that for a second. When you put that number next to what private medical colleges in India charge, you immediately see why this is such an attractive option.
And it's not just the tuition that's affordable. Your day-to-day living costs, we're talking accommodation, food, getting around, that's also really low. On average, you're looking at about $200 US a month.
Now, what about the course itself? Well, it's structured to line up perfectly with what the Indian medical system requires. It's a 6-year program altogether. You spend the first 5 years on your intense academic and clinical studies, and then that final 6th year is your mandatory hands-on internship.
Okay, so let's put it all together. When you step back and look at the whole picture, what are the real key advantages that are convincing thousands of students to pack their bags for Kazakhstan? It really comes down to a few powerful points. The admission process, it's simple, it's fast, and there are no shady donation fees. The education itself is top-notch, with modern facilities, and you don't have to take another separate entrance exam. On top of all that, you get amazing international exposure, and your final licensing exam can be taken in English. It's the whole package.
All right, so if you're thinking, hey, this sounds like it could be for me, let's get down to brass tacks. Here's a quick checklist of the essential documents you're going to need to get your application started.
You can pretty much think of this as your essential paperwork pile. You'll need your mark sheets from 10th and 12th grade, of course. A valid passport is a must, along with your birth certificate and some passport-sized photos. Then, you'll need to show you can afford it with a bank statement, and finally, get yourself covered with health and travel insurance. Getting all this together is your first big step.
So, when you think about the crazy competition and the sky-high costs back home, it really makes you think, doesn't it? It leaves us with one final question for every aspiring doctor out there. Could looking at the world map actually be your smartest path to that white coat?